Are you sick of exorcism movies with substance, with some capacity for realism, something frightening, something that makes your skin crawl? Are you sick of those kind of movies? Then I've got a treat for you. The Last Exorcism. I just finished watching this, and was it as bad as everybody said it was? Not in my opinion. It wasn't. Calling it horrible would just be really easy to do, and uh, it wasn't horrible, but it really wasn't great. I mean, and saying that is like, I don't know. It's almost like giving it a pass, saying, "Oh yeah, you should check it out." It's still no. No. I don't want to. I don't want to completely condemn the movie because it had its moments. It had some. It had some moments to it. You could just see some. You could see some similarities between other movies, and it's not always Exorcist movies. Um, you got a little touch of the Blair Witch in there. At one point, it's just like a complete, total knockoff of the Blair Witch Project. Um, you got uh, Exorcism of Emily Rose, the whole barn scene. It's almost like lifted right out of that movie, except not done as well. Um, the movie, well, the story was written by Huck Botko. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Huck Botko, but I'm familiar with some of his earlier work. He did some food terrorist videos, I like to call them. He had this thing where he was getting even with his family who had pretty much caused him a lot of grief over the years. And these are like real movies. It wasn't like, made up stuff. And in one, he fed his mom who abandoned him as a kid. He made her a baked Alaskan, but he took roadkill and shook it in there. Yeah, and then his sister, who he says has a perfect life and doesn't know what it's like to have any kind of turmoil or tragedy or anything. He baked her he baked her a cheesecake, and he wrote "Merry Christmas" with a needle, just like put "Merry Christmas," and had two people with hepatitis B decorate it with blood, with their own blood, and he fed it to like the whole family. Um, Stuff like that. He made a fruitcake for his dad and had a bunch of homeless guys spit in it. And the big one was his brother, who would always torment him. He had a bunch of guys in the porno industry masturbating to a cream cheese pie. And that's what he gave his brother. And he eats it. He shows everybody eating the stuff that he brings them. So this is the guy who wrote Last Exorcism. And I don't know, maybe it was just a little too much to bite out. I mean, there's a lot of movies he's done. There's quite a few movies. Those are the ones I'm really familiar with. In fact, I think he's writing something for Funhouse 3D. Ugh. Anyways, back to the Last Exorcism. It was also produced by Eli Roth. Everyone's familiar with Eli Roth. Wish he was a little bit more involved in that because I don't know. It had so much potential to be a really cool movie. You could tell, like in the beginning, and then it just kind of petered out at the end. Man, they had some really good opportunities were lost in that movie. The guy's son was like a complete just closet case, and I don't know. He just delivered his lines really dryly. Basically, the story revolves around a preacher who's getting out of the preaching game because he's not convinced in his he's not convinced that he has faith in anything real. He talks about being a child preacher, that his dad made him a preacher, and that brought the people in. And he says right away that it was just for the money. It brought people in. They would give money. just because it was a child preacher. And he's been preaching ever since then, and it's been okay for the pocketbook, but he's really kind of, his faith is not in anything biblical. At one point, he even tells a lady that people don't even listen to him when he talks, and to prove that, he preaches, and while he's preaching, he's talking, the Son of God, and he's talking, the resurrection, and do you believe? And right in the middle of it, he throws in a short, like, banana bread recipe. And do you believe that if you take 2 ripe bananas and flour and bake it at 400 degrees, you get banana bread? Amen? And everyone's, amen. They're not even listening to what he's saying. And that's how he proves his point, that no one even listens to him. So he gets letters sometimes. Usually he gets contacted through his website, but he gets a few letters, and one of the letters is requesting him to take a look at this guy's daughter, who they believe is possessed. He believes that people who are possessed just think they're possessed, and he feels that if he can go and get them to think they're not possessed, he's saved them, and everyone's cool, and he gets paid. First cheap shot of the movie, though, was when they're talking about the Catholics have all the press when it comes to exorcism because they got the movie. So right away they're referring to The Exorcist. Okay. The movie is shot semi-documentary style. There are times when I think they couldn't make up their mind whether they wanted to keep it like a straight documentary and just have like the shaky cam thing going, or then they have like a setup like actual movie camera. So it kind of flipped between those two deals. If it would have just stayed straight documentary style, I think it would have played off a little bit better. There's some, he goes to do the exorcism, and he's showing all his tricks. He's showing all the things that he does for theatrics. That's basically what he's into, is theatrics, magic tricks and stuff. He has a cross that's loaded with powder that smokes when he holds it, wire for the mirror. He throws stuff in the water that the girl has her feet in to make it bubble. And the kid, her brother, sees him do that, but he's actually relieved that he's a trickster. That way he doesn't do anything that'll harm his sister. They find out that something's going on. There's definitely something going on with his sister, though. It's not just in her mind. But he deduces that she's suffering from guilt. She's not really possessed. And he's trying to convince the dad of this after he's already convinced her that there's like the strongest demon possessing his daughter. He's already convinced him of that. Now he's trying to convince him that there is no demon. She's just feeling guilty about something and she needs psychiatric help. Well, the dad doesn't want to hear it. There are accusations of incest, accusations of rape. There's all this stuff going on, and it basically culminates into an almost predictable ending. And the ending, even if it's not predictable, it's not a shocker. It's not anything where you go, oh my God, I can't believe it. No, it was pretty lame. I've seen it done before in a few movies. It made me think of different movies, and I can't even name any of them right now, but it made me think of, well, I guess some elements of Wicker Man, but it wasn't exactly that kind of ending, but you can kind of get that feeling of it. I mean, hell, it even seemed like, I don't know, Children of the Corn in a way. I don't know. I don't want to give away the ending, but I'm so tempted to. So if any of you have seen it, you know what I'm talking about. The ending was weak. It was really weak. It's almost like they had to throw together an ending at the last minute. And like, hey, what do? We ain't got a last page. Well, here, there you go. Just do that. Film that. To show the depth of how unoriginal the movie can get, the casting speaks for that. I have a certain pet peeve, and no. I won't say a pet peeve, but there's certain things that it just bugs me just a little bit. It's when the character in the movie has the same name as the person playing them, because then I always think they didn't even name the character till they got the person playing it. That's what I think, but that's not always the case. In this case, however, I honestly think they didn't name any of the characters till they got most of the stars. I wrote down some of them. I want to read them to you. There's a few of them here. We got Iris Barr, she played in Health Inspector. Larry the Cable Guy. Sorry. Brain fart. She played in Health Inspector. She was his partner. Iris Barr played Iris Reason. Louis Herthman played Louis Sweetser. Caleb Landry Jones played Caleb Sweetser. That was the son. What did they do? They said, "Oh, Caleb. That's a cool name, man. That sounds like a Children of the Corn kind of name. Let's just use that." Caleb Landry Jones played Caleb Sweetser. John Wright Jr. played John Marcus. Shannon Forrestal played Shannon Marcus. I'm sorry. Justin Schaefer played Justin Marcus. Logan Craig Reed played Logan Winters. All the first names are of the actors, and it's just like, this kind of gets me right here. So, hey, a B for effort, guys, but you didn't pull it off. And I'm not a hard person to impress when it comes to these movies. I like movies that a lot of people would say, nah, no way. Like Exorcism of Emily Rose. A lot of people dogged that movie so bad, and I actually liked that movie. I thought it was pretty darn cool. Because it kind of weighed both sides of the story. It's either a mental aspect or it's a spiritual aspect. This one just didn't do it, man. Did not do it. The payoff was not there. Like I said, I won't say it's a horrible movie. I've seen horrible, and that ain't it. The girl really did try. When she's doing the whole barn thing, the possessed thing, she did this little thing with her neck that made me go, "Oh, how'd you do that?" But yeah, that wasn't worth the time put into watching this movie. It was somewhat entertaining at some points when he's doing all the trickery, and he's the guy Cotton Marcus is showing all the tricks and stuff. You kind of get a little amused by that. Like he's a charlatan. He's a showman, a magician. In a preacher's garb. He admits this freely. He's just in it for the money. That part was semi-amusing, but as an exorcism movie, nah, doesn't sail. You want me to give this a rating? I give it a 2 out of 5, if that. But nah, doesn't do it. I mean, it couldn't even keep a decent gore factor going on this one. It was weak. I think one of the weakest moments of it though was when they went into the house after they had left her alone with these people to take care of her. They went into the house, and the house is splattered with all these symbols written in blood everywhere, and they got these really lame death metal symbols, not even like real. I can't explain it. It's like, in some parts it looked like really old, hieroglyphics and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, okay, that's a satanic thing. But then there's some that look like some kids broke in and they were drinking beer, and they said, "Yeah, all right, 666." And it's like it didn't play well. It didn't look like authentic, I guess. But hope you got something out of that. Basically, the bottom line is, the last exorcism, let's hope that's the last one they make, because man, it was everything everybody told me, but not as terrible as everybody told me. If you want to see a good exorcism movie, get The Exorcist. Still the best. Still the king, man. King of the mountain. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching. I will be back with another review in a couple of days, probably. Till then, keep it brutal.